Well, earlier, my colleague Nathan King spoke to Grzegorz Kolodko, professor of economics at Kozminski University in Poland, about the current state of EU-China relations. Kolodko is also the former deputy premier of Poland and former minister of finance. He began by asking why China appears so keen to develop its relationship with Europe.
China is very much trying to reorient her economy, and for that reason, economic relations with outside world, including Europe, which is one of the subcenter of the world, is so important. But within the European Union, we have countries catching up with more advanced economies of the western part of the continent. That is the countries of former Soviet-type socialism, East Central Europe, like for instance our Poland, and Southern Europe, where the rate of savings and therefore the rate of investment, which is being financed by domestic saving, is not sufficient. China is very much aware of the economic contradictions and is trying to take advantage, but also is trying somehow to assist the process, for instance, of lack of resources for infrastructure investment. So therefore, if I was in the European bureaucrat shoes somewhere in Brussels, I would rather encourage the technocrats and political leaders of the European Union to sit at the table together with the Chinese technocrats and politicians and to discuss how to work together, how to take advantage of Belt and Road Initiative for the purpose of upgrading competitiveness of the European Union. I see much more compatibility here than competition. But I do believe, and I do know from my research, that what China calls win-win can be really beneficial for all parties involved, not necessarily as the jokes go, that win-win implies 2-0 for China.
Yes, we hear that one quite a lot. Why do you think it is that the EU and Washington haven't come together with a coordinated policy when it comes to pressuring China on its reform and opening up? Is that Trump and his tariffs, or is there more to it?
There are economic contradictions and there are political concerns. On the economic side, one must be aware that the leading economy, the giant of the Europe, that is Germany, they have permanent structural trade and current account surplus. They have to export, they have to sell elsewhere, including China, including the United States, including so-called energy markets, to which I refer as to emancipating economy, more and more. And here they may be from time to time, and they are, with an economic conflict with other countries which are export-led, like, first of all, China. This is not the case of some other countries in the European Union, which are rather on the weaker side of foreign sector competitiveness and so on. And completely different stories in the United States. So from that perspective, sometimes China or France, they have more economic interests jointly with China than with the United States.
How does a country like yours, Poland, for example, see all this? Because you're not France, you're not Germany, one of the big powers of the European Union, but also close alliance with the United States through NATO. And you have things like Huawei, where you're being pressured by Washington. How does Poland balance itself like that economically and strategically?
We are very much open for improvement of economic relations, cooperation, flow of capital, free trade, exchange of students, tourism, etc. But the policy, or rather politics, is a little bit hectic, and I'm afraid it is a little bit too much under the influence of the current American administration, which has different priorities. But I think that in the longer run, there will be more of economic cooperation because, one more time, we are not saving enough in Poland and China is saving too much, and therefore there is a kind of compatibility between some open small and medium economies, like we do have plenty of them in the Europe continent and the European Union especially, and China. So for that reason, if you are taking a longer view, you will see much more of China economic activity in Europe, both in the richer countries like, say, Italy or France, or the catching up like Poland or Czech Republic.